Chris and Jen.
You.
One of our fans suggested that we do a game room video, and we like to keep both of our fans happy. So we're going to show you our game room, which is technically our living room.
Where we live.
Rosie's going to help us out. We've got all our crap in here, our consoles and all our games.
Lots of crap.
And we're going to tell you a little bit about them. Okay, ready?
Be sure to get that frog.
I will. Alright, action.
Alright, so I want to start first with some of the consoles we got here. There's a lot of cables, a lot of cords. It can get to be a real mess, but after several years doing this, I've got it down to a science, so it's only like kind of a mess. A little baby mess, maybe. So I'll just start over here. I got 2 Game Gears. Both American Game Gears. This one's standard, unmodified. But this is the special one here. This one, which I just recently got, has been modded for RGB, so it can actually put out a much clearer picture. It also has a controller port, so I can use a Genesis controller or a Master System controller to play my games. So I can hook this up through the TV and screw that crappy Game Gear screen. It's just amazing. So the reason I have 2 is so I can play 2-player games on the TV as well. What else do I have? I have a original Game Boy. Oh wait, psych, it's an iPhone. A lot of games on that too. Some cool, a lot of great stuff available, real cheap. The controls are a little finicky, but you know, it's the price you pay for like paying nothing for games. I got a Nintendo GameCube. What's special about this is it has a Game Boy player at the bottom. So you can actually play all your original Game Boy games, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance through your TV, which I'm a huge fan of playing portable games through my TV. It makes me feel like I'm getting away with something. I've also got a Game Boy Advance SP. This is actually Jen's. The pink ones have an extra bright screen. You can't really tell because I don't have an old one to compare it to, but the difference is like night and day. There's no game in there, so that was probably a bad idea. I've got 2 3DS XLs. These are his and hers. We wanted to get a pink one, but that was limited and expensive, and it came with some crappy game that we weren't into. A little smudge. These take a while to come up, but I got a lot of games on here. There's a lot of great stuff. I'm currently playing Ocarina of Time. It's got some great NES stuff, some great Game Boy games. These look really good on here. A lot of crappy apps that I don't use or care about, so I'm just going to turn that off. Here I got a PSP. Very underrated system. A lot of people crap on the PSP, but I tell you it's really good. There's a lot of really great old games that you can download for this thing. My battery might be dead. Yeah, it looks like it's dead. But there's a lot of good games on there. A lot of PS2 arcade compilations and things are on there. Sega stuff too, loads of that. Here I've got a Super Nintendo, which I have a special cord on the back which lets me connect it. It's a SCART cable, which is, it ends in one of these guys. This is a connection that they use in Europe. We don't have it in America. We have, the closest thing we have is component. So I'm able to buy this very expensive, hard to find SCART converter, which will go SCART to component, which I have a component connection on my TV, which is over here. If we could go back and show the TV. Now, the cool thing about this is an old style CRT TV. A lot of the new TVs, well, all the new TVs are like HD TV and, I don't know, plasma and all that fancy crap. I'll probably never have one of those because older game systems tend to look really crappy on new TVs. I don't know why, but there's like a warmth to the picture that you just don't get with the new TVs. So I highly recommend if you're an old school video game fan to get a CRT TV because also you can't use light guns with the new TVs. I'm not really smart enough to tell you why, but they don't work. So let's go back here, and if I haven't already bored you to death, I have about 50 more systems to show you. So I was talking about the Super Nintendo. It looks like a regular Super Nintendo, and it is, but through some cool trickery, a friend of mine, Frank at Classic Game Junkie, which is a great retro game store where I got a lot of this stuff from, in Glenside, Pennsylvania. Shameless plug there for Frank. He cut off the tabs of this Game Genie, so I'm actually able to play Super Famicom games. So this is like the Japanese Super Nintendo. So normally these games won't fit in there, but with this handy dandy Game Genie adapter, I can play them. Speaking of playing overseas games, I just recently got Sin and Punishment, which is an awesome Japanese N64 title. Kind of pricey, but definitely worth getting it if you like crazy, fun Japanese shooting games with dialogue you can't understand. What's special about this is this was modded, this N64 was modded also for RGB, so it's super clear. It also has a switch on the side here, which when activated will let me play Japanese games, and it also is overclocked, so it'll run games faster and smoother than your stock N64. So let's move down the shelf here if we can get down. What's up, Woody? Just chilling, having some fun there. Catching some rays. This is really one of my prides and joys here. It's hard to pick a favorite. If I have to pick a favorite between all of these, it's probably the Sega Genesis right there. But this is really up there. The Neo Geo CD is a fantastic system. I know a lot of people complain about loading times, but really, when it comes down to it, the games are they're so much cheaper. It's very easy to back up your games with that because they have very little copyright protection. Don't break the law, kiddies, but it's a great system. A lot of great games on that. Kind of pricey, but nowhere near as expensive as the AES Neo Geo, which I'll never own because I want to keep my house. Moving on, I got a Sega Saturn here. I got a cool Game Shark in there, which lets me play Japanese games as well with a special code. Both these systems here are output in component as well, so that's the best possible picture that you can get. Right next to it is a system I'm getting into a lot lately, the Sega Dreamcast. Awesome system. I actually got this one for $25, which is definitely a steal. You can get a lot of the games really, really cheap now, which is great. And that is actually connected through S-Video, which is not quite as good as component, but still pretty good. I've been looking for a component cable for it, but they're like really hard to find. Ones that work. I got one, but it was garbage, so I sent it back. Moving on, I have my favorite system of all time, the Sega Genesis, the Model 1. This one has a power base converter in it, so I'm able to play all of my Sega Master System games on it. So it takes cartridges actually up top here, and there's a cool card input so I can play Sega card games. I don't have any of those yet. But it's just amazing, and this top actually comes off and I can play Sega Genesis, regular Sega Genesis games through it. I really love about this, they have a headphone jack in there and a little volume slider. This is just amazing. I could talk all day about the Genesis. I love it so much they actually have two of them. This is the Model 2, which is an amazing sleek modification of it. I have this one so that I can plug in my Sega CD and my 32X attachment. It's a huge mess of cables, and some of them are kind of hard to find, and you can see over here in the power strip that I have 3 different AC adapters for them. I know a lot of people talk about what a pain in the ass this system is, and what a piece of crap the Sega CD and the 32X are, but there's some really good games on there. It's really worth checking out if you have the patience and some available credit. Alright, so there's always dust on these things. Alright, so let's move up here. If you're not dizzy from the camera work, that's Winnie. She always gets stuff caught in her front. Alright, so over here we do like new games, not as much as old games, but the cool thing about new game systems is you can play a lot of old games on them, a lot of old arcade games. Right here we've got, of course, the Nintendo Wii. I love the Nintendo Wii. Probably it would be my Desert Island system simply because of the virtual console. You can play a lot of these old systems through this. Really cheap, and it's hooked up component as well, so the picture on the old games is spectacular, especially on the like TurboGrafx 16 stuff. Just amazing. Next to it I have an Xbox 360. We went through I don't know, 3 or 4 of the old model because they're really made of just garbage. This new one, again, a lot of dust on it, but this new one is way better. Haven't had any problems. It's a little loud, but a lot of great games on it. A lot of XBLA stuff, a lot of old arcade games, so definitely worth having if you're a fan of classic stuff, as we are. Keeping with the new system theme real quick, we just got a PS3. So as soon as they announce a PS4, bang, we got the PS3. So far, I'm really liking it. I play a lot of rail shooters on it. Got House of the Dead 3 and 4 on there, and Time Crisis games. Resident Evil games. I'm feeling it. It's a great system. Let's see. So while we're talking about PlayStation, let's go to the PlayStation 1 here. I got the little mini PS1. Move. Pun intended. So we've got a PS1 here, a little baby one. I got the original Time Crisis in there. Awesome game if you can stomach the really blocky polygon graphics, which I'm a sucker for. Under here we have an S-Video box, so in the back here a lot of the systems that are connected S-Video go through this. There's a whole mess of cords that we've cleverly concealed. Moving down, I've got a PS2 Slim. PS2 is an amazing system because it's so dirt cheap, and there's a lot of classic game compilations for it. I just threw an Atari sticker on there because why not? I remember we did a video and somebody pointed that out, and so that's not an Atari, it's the PS2. I just like the sticker, and there you go. Underneath I have an original toaster design Nintendo Entertainment System. Probably my second favorite system of all time, but damn is it a piece of crap the way they made it. I don't even have to tell you, everybody knows the blowing the games, the blinking red light. With this one I actually went inside and replaced the pin connector, which was a lot of trouble because I'm just not good with tools or anything. And it worked for like 2 weeks really well, and then it just kind of crapped out. Over here, speaking of Nintendo, we have another one of my favorites, a cool modified top loader. Now these are infinitely better than the old school toaster design. This one, if you buy them stock, they have an RF connection, which is terrible. It's just really bad. It's like really bad picture. So I got a guy to mod this for AV video. So he actually put in, a video signal, and I've got stereo audio coming out of there. And I'd have to say, like 98% of the games I put in there, they work the first time. Just make sure to keep your games clean. Use some compressed air. Yeah, the thing's great. The only thing that kind of sucks about it is the NES Game Genie doesn't work with it. It just doesn't fit. They designed this to block Galoob, I guess, their Game Genie. So that's a little bit of a bummer, but definitely worth it if you want to play NES games right away with none of the crazy lines that come from an RF picture. Which is so. Speaking of modified consoles, I also have hidden away here another. They're all really my pride and joy. I can't really pick a favorite, but this is the Atari 7800 Pro system. This is another one that outputs RF only, unless you know a guy who's a nerd and who's good with tools, and I do. So I got a guy to do 2 modifications here. He did an audio mod. Now the sound is only mono, but it's still much better than going through RF. And I got an S-Video connection there. And I also have, he also put in for some reason a composite video connection too. I prefer the S-Video obviously over the composite, but it's nice to have a backup if something goes wrong with it. This will also play Atari 2600 games. I'm already out of breath. So that, oh, and right here actually, right in front of us, the newest addition to the family is a TurboGrafx 16. This is a system I've been meaning to get for a long time, but just didn't have enough money, and they're a little harder to find. The games are harder to find too. So this one also outputs an RF, which is again really crappy, terrible picture. So I got a guy who I met online who lives in Spain to hook up a connection for me here so that it's composite. So it's composite video, which is much better, has stereo audio. So the picture is much better over RF. Eventually, when I get even more money, if that day ever comes, I'm going to get it modded so that I can put it in component. So it'll be super clear. One cool thing about the system too is he also put in these lights. So I got, I'm not too familiar with the TurboGrafx 16, so I don't know if this light is actually on there to begin with, but I'm pretty sure the blue one isn't. So that's pretty cool to let you know that it's on. He also did a region mod on the side here. So let me see if I can spin that around. So I can play Japanese PC Engine games, which is what the TurboGrafx 16 is called in Japan. So that's great without having to get like an expensive adapter or anything. I got an expensive modification. So that's pretty cool because a lot of the best games for this system were released in Japan only. America got the shaft there. One other thing of note to mention, look how pitifully short this cord is. I mean, this is just crazy. I have to pretty much play with this thing in my lap, and this is plugged in through a turbo tap, which lets multiple players play. So not only when you get this stock, it's RF, which is a terrible connection, but it only comes with one control port. So like if Jen wants to play the TurboGrafx 16, she's going to have to buy the expensive turbo tap adapter, which is another 20 bucks. So she's going to have to throw down a Jackson to play multiplayer. Still a great system though. I really like a lot of the games I've got for it, especially like Bonk's Adventure, and I've got Splatterhouse coming, so I can't wait until I get that. Alright, so this concludes the console portion. I'm going to show you the games in a second, so stay tuned. Alright, so we're back. Over here, I've got, this is where I keep my clothes. Psych, no, I don't put my clothes in here. I put controllers here. At one time, this was all organized. Now it's a god-awful mess that makes me want to kill myself. But there's a lot of cool controllers in here. That's for a Neo Geo CD, and 64, of course. Turbo pad for the TG16. I got a arcade stick. I got just about every kind of light gun. The Justifier, the Stunner that you can have. It gets worse. There's just that Dreamcast. There's all kinds of gun cons. All the variety of gun cons. I got a Move controller thing. It's just crazy. Computer controllers, a Dreamcast keyboard, the Atari keyboard controller things. Really, it takes us a while to find all the crap that we need. Oh, this is neat. I need to charge my PSP. I need that. I'll leave that out. Alright. So, that's where we keep all the controllers. One day I'll get that better taken care of. Here we have some cool NES, Nintendo games. I'm not really so much a collector because I actually like to play these games rather than just kind of sit and drool over them. I don't own a lot of super mega expensive games because, you know, I can get a lot of games for what one kind of okay game would cost. I do have a couple kind of standout ones though. Mighty Final Fight is one of my favorite games on the NES. It's a great beat 'em up. We talked about it briefly in our Final Fight review. The only problem is it's one player, but you know, you can trade off, I guess. So that's definitely one of my favorite games there. Jen recently got this NWC Repro cart. Again, we're not collectors or anything, so that's why it's a reproduction cartridge, but we're going to be doing a cool review on that, so stay tuned. Let's see what else we got here. I try to keep all the Nintendo stuff together when possible. I have some Super Nintendo games here. Again, not like a super lot of games, but definitely some of my favorites for the system. I really like Super Mario RPG. I just got into that. Highly recommend this game. It's a little expensive. They're usually like, I don't know, $40 or so. But a really great game. The best beat 'em up on the Super Nintendo, Turtles in Time, without a doubt. If you have a Super Nintendo, you need that game. You just totally need that game. Everybody knows Link to the Past is great. So one cool thing I got for the Super Nintendo here is a Super Game Boy. So actually just put this in the Super Nintendo and you can play all your old classic Game Boy games on there, which is neat because it's really cool to use the Super Nintendo controller instead of the little D-pad and buttons on the Game Boy. So these are really cheap. I think this cost me like, I don't know, $7. It's like having another system for $7. Like, you can't beat it. Got a handful of N64 games here. There's not tons of N64 games that I really like, but the ones that are on there that I do like, I freaking love. Mario Kart 64, of course, like, got to use the controller, the N64 controller for that. I mean, you can't really emulate that well. Paper Mario is excellent. I'm currently working through that. I got a cool little Super Smash Brothers here, which is actually from Japan. So that works on my N64. This one's cool because it has lightsaber noises. And it's, besides that, it's pretty much the same game, except there's a lot of Japanese that I don't understand. But it's a lot cheaper than the American version. I got a Majora's Mask that is cracked but still works and has a cool kind of, I don't know if anybody remembers the Sports Flicks baseball cards from the like 80s, but it's very much like that. I got some DS games here. There's a lot of Lego games. Jen and I love Lego games. We've played pretty much every one that they've ever put out. We really like the old ones especially. I also have some 3DS games. So again, more Lego games, a bunch of Zelda games in here. You know, assorted Mario games. Star Fox 3D is the bomb. Highly recommend that if you like the original. No Rumble Pack thing, but still great. GameCube, incredible system. A lot of great Zelda games on here. Not much to say else about that. I mean, it's just great. It's still pretty new compared to a lot of the games that we play. Got a lot of Wii games. A lot of them are collections of old games. Those are kind of my favorite things to find. So definitely House of the Dead 2 and 3 Return. This is really cheap. Probably we've played that the most out of any game that we've ever had because it's just that good. I play it every week. A lot of great collections here. Like I said, there's more down here. And here I've got, there's another Game Genie. That one has the tabs intact, so I can use that. I got a memory card for a 64. Tons of Neo Geo CD games. I really love Mutation Nation. The actual, like, real copies of these are pretty expensive, but they're totally worth it. Robo Army. Just a couple of my favorite games on there. We're gonna do a whole series on Neo Geo games, beat 'em ups, and great stuff that we love on that. Okay, so in here I don't have butter cookies. I have some portable games. So here's a lot of my Game Boy Advance games. Some more here. There's some of the Game Boy games and Game Boy Color games. I'm really getting into these old handhelds. Definitely recommend picking up these systems if you can find them for cheap, because they're not too bad. And there's a lot of great games. They don't really get the recognition that they deserve, I think, because they're portables. Up here, I have some Atari 2600 games and some 7800 games. So cool. My cool Pro system can play both. Some of my favorite games on here, definitely Mario Brothers and the 7800. This is just like unbelievably awesome. I have it on the NES, but there's just something about the sound effects and the graphics, and that's just amazing. So I love Food Fight so much. I have 2 copies of it. Of course, Basic Programming, which Jen covered extensively. Down here I got some Sega Master System games. It's a great system to get into. I really like playing 8-bit versions of like arcade games, because it seems like amazing that they could even do that. So a couple of my favorite games on here, of course, Streets of Rage and Streets of Rage 2. This is actually a European game. A lot of the European games will actually still work on your Master System over here, so there's no region blocking, so that's pretty cool. I made my own little labels. Also did that before with the N64. You gotta have labels. I mean, yeah, come on. Down here I have, this starts the Genesis pile. I actually used to have a lot more Genesis, but I do a lot of trading, and so some of them I had to say goodbye to get other games. But a couple of my absolute favorites on the system, we got a repro of Bare Knuckle 3, which is just an amazing game. Streets of Rage 3, but the Japanese version, much better, much easier. I also recently got from Korea Golden Axe 3, which was never released in America. This is definitely like a bootleg because there's no cover art or anything fancy, but inside is a great game, I promise. A lot of other great games on here. Definitely, I love Outrun. Quackshot is so much fun. I mean, if you Quackshot, come on, get yourself some Quackshot. Can't stress that enough. Oh, we actually have 2 Bare Knuckle 3, so go figure. How cool are we? Got some more games down here. I've got some 32X games. Not a lot of really great games for the system. Cat fur seems to stick all over these for some reason. But it was really good at doing arcade conversions. So like the Afterburner on here, the Mortal Kombat 2, the Space Harrier, the NBA Jam, Virtua Fighter. Those in particular are just amazing. I also have a bunch of Game Gear games here. So definitely I would say the Streets of Rage games are really excellent on there. And the Shinobi games are just unbelievable. Highly recommend them. Okay, so down here we've got some Sega CD games. Let's see. There's some really good ones. That's Amazing Spider-Man's actually pretty good. Sega CD, definitely recommend Final Fight on the Sega CD. This game, if you see it, get it, because it's way better than the Super Nintendo version. You can play with a friend. I have some Saturn games here. We got the Japanese House of the Dead, which is excellent because it's way more affordable than the American version, and I think it plays a little bit better. I've had both.
And the blood is red.
And the blood is red. Well, no, actually, no, the blood is red in the American version.
Really?
Yeah.
It was the other way around.
Oh, I think you can change it with a code.
Ah.
That's right. One of my favorite things for the Saturn is actually the Sega Aegis collection. You can play Outrun, Space Harrier, Afterburner, all arcade perfect. It's just amazing. I really love the Saturn. The games are, a little harder to find, but it's definitely worth getting a Saturn if you love Sega, as I do. And speaking of Sega, we've got some Dreamcast games here. Got a lot in these loose sleeves. I really like Dynamite Cop. Typing of the Dead we actually talked about in Zombie Revenge. Just a great system. I don't know really a lot about it yet. I'm kind of more of a new Dreamcast fan. I guess I'm a poser. But I'm really really liking what I see so far. I've got some TurboGrafx 16 games here, and this is a Bomberman 94, which is a Japanese game, which my thing will play, which is awesome, and Alien Crush, which I just picked up. Again at Game Junkie, great place to get a lot of old games. I have some PlayStation 1 games, mainly shooting games with the Gun Con. I got an original Xbox collection. Down here, tons of PlayStation 2 stuff. Almost all of this are old arcade collections. So the Capcom Classics 1 and 2, you need those games. Playing the arcade Captain Commando, amazing. A Mega Man collection, Midway collection, all kinds of Namco, Sega, Taito. There's a lot of great rail shooters, like the Time Crisis games, Vampire Knight. Great system. I think you get the most for your money with the PlayStation 2. Like, really. It's like dirt cheap, and it's amazing. I got some PS3 games here, some Xbox 360 stuff. Again, a lot of Lego stuff. I'm not really too much into like first-person shooters or wearing a headset and, you know, any of those kind of games. So, who knows, maybe in like 20 years when it's old and no one plays it anymore, I'll be interested in it. But not now. So that pretty much concludes our physical games that we own. I have a lot of downloads. We'll probably show you some of that stuff. Okay, so we got a lot of games that we downloaded. Like I said, we do play House of the Dead 2 and 3 a lot, so it kind of lives in here. We can watch kind of crappy versions of YouTube videos through Huawei. I don't really recommend that. Netflix is awesome. Of course, the Wii Shop, which gets all my money. Here I got some WiiWare games. I'm not really too into a lot of the games on there, but these are all excellent. These ones that I have here. On the SD card, here's where the fun begins. So this will take a minute to come up, but I got pages and pages of games. And the cool thing about playing them through the Wii is that it's hooked up through Component. So like I said, the picture is as good as it can possibly be. These are some of the NES games that I've got on here. The NES doesn't output in Component, so it doesn't look as good as other systems, really. But you can do a very expensive, like $500 modification of it to make it work by actually cannibalizing a PlayChoice 10 arcade system. So one of these days I will get that. But here, tons of NES games you don't have to blow on that look as good as they possibly can look. This is a really cool game here. This one, Bokuta Upa. I'm probably not even saying that right. But you basically play as a baby, and you attack bad guys with a rattle, and you collect candy. And it was released only in Japan on the Famicom. Highly recommend that. That's what's so great about the VC, is you can play a lot of these imports that were never released in America. Here I've got tons of Super Nintendo stuff, all the Final Fights, a lot of Street Fighters, of course, Link to the Past. Gotta love that game. So, you know, these are some of the great games on there. Super Castlevania 4 is like, you know, a work of art. Hard, but definitely worth it. Got some great N64 games on here. These are kind of weird. They definitely look great, but playing it with the classic controller, it's just not the same. But if you don't have an N64, this is definitely still a lot of fun.
And the music stops working on Mario Kart a lot.
It does. For some reason, the music on Mario Kart is a little weird.
Can't do that.
Okay, so I got a couple of Master System games here. They don't have a lot really to offer as far as Master System is concerned, but still something is better than nothing. Tons of Genesis games. I'm kind of a freak. Like, I have the downloads, plus I have the actual games on pretty much all of these. If you are into Sega Genesis at all, you're curious about it, you want Streets of Rage 1 and 2. Really, that's what you want.
Yeah. And even if you're not into the Genesis,
even
get
if
them
you're
anyway.
not, oh my God, get them anyway. The best games ever made. I have hundreds of games, as you've seen. And Streets of Rage 2, the best out of all of them. Wow. I kind of like it, if you can tell. Revenge of Shinobi, another great game for the Genesis. Musha, or Musha, I guess it's Musha. That's a great shooter. It's kind of an expensive game and hard to find, so it's really cool that you can play it on here for like $8. Here I got a lot of TurboGrafx 16 games and some TurboGrafx CD games, or I should say PC Engine Super CD. I don't know. Some of that stuff's a little confusing, but these games are all great, and they look and sound, in particularly, like much better than they do on my system right now. So these are great because a lot of these are expensive and they're really cheap here. TurboGrafx 16 games are $6. New Adventure Island I've been looking to buy, that's $80, and that's like the cheapest one. So $6 versus $80. Sometimes I like to make the hand do cool things, and the cats will come and play with it, but they're all being jerks today. So let's move on. Neo Geo, amazing system. Holy crap, Neo Geo is amazing. I really love the Sengoku games because they're really creepy. Shock Troopers has this amazing like techno music that I just love. Burning Fight's an awesome beat 'em up. It's a Final Fight clone, but it's still really awesome.
It has Guy in it.
Yeah, it's got a guy that's just like Guy. That means anything to anybody out there.
Yeah.
Virtual Console Arcade. Again, they don't have a lot of options here. I bought most of the ones that appealed to me already. But Altered Beast, a lot of the classic Sega stuff, the original Shinobi. Can't go wrong with that. And that's pretty much it for the VC. I think I'll show you some Xbox stuff next. Okay. Alright, so this is one thing about new systems that's kind of a pain in the butt. Like when I put a game on, I want to play the game right away. But most of the time when I turn on my 360 or even the PS3, sometimes the Wii, I've got to do these updates. So it's like one thing I really like about old games is that you just put the cartridge in, turn it on, you take the cartridge out, you blow on it, you put it back in, and then you can play your game. I mean, it's...
Don't forget to turn it off and on
yeah.
times.
I probably messed the order of that up.
Blowing it again.
Yeah. Hop on one leg. So eventually this will finish downloading and I can show you all the great retro games that we love and play on the Xbox 360.
And then we'll have to log in.
Yeah, you gotta log in.
Load.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Probably put some elevator music here, maybe.
Yeah.
You know. Boom!
Oh, yay.
And we actually cut out like 10 minutes of that.
Yep.
For your benefit. Here we're hanging in suspended animation.
Sleeping.
Is this gonna work?
Oh,
Hold on.
yeah.
I've got a remote. That's kind of funky. Alright. So, boom. Comes back to life. Look at him there.
Happy Chris. Oh no, we can't sign into Messenger.
Who do I want to message?
I never
I'm trying
seen
to
that
play
before.
a game. See, and this is the other thing of the new games systems. Look at all this on here. I don't usually curse,
Oh, I'll
but
have to bleep
that's
that
what
out.
it is. It's kind of
Yeah.
right here.
Who
I don't care
cares?
about wrestling. I don't care about some douchebag with goggles.
I like Gollum.
Gollum's cool. But yeah, my pins, like my balls, all right? I don't know what that even means.
even mean?
I don't want to socialize. I play games, all right?
Yeah.
So let's get to the games. So here's my games. My God, what an
again.
amazing system. I have 20 copies of Altered Beast, and they're all awesome. Castle Crashers, newer
Yeah.
game, it's awesome. Contra, come on, Contra.
Classic.
Classic. I mean, the NES version's the best, but that's still really good. And I've got Crazy Taxi. I mean, that game, come on. It's just crazy. Double Dragon. Funny thing about this is the jerks that run XBLA or whatever took this game down or the people that made the jerks that made the game took this down. So we only have it still because we downloaded it about 100 years ago when it was still up.
As soon as we got the 360, pretty much.
You can play these systems that have like a cajillion megabytes or gigabytes or zigabytes or whatever, terabytes, and they can't fit a little game like Double Dragon. What tools? Double Dragon Neon, newer game, pretty good. Fatal Fury Special, pretty good. Final Fight, amazing. Game Room, you can play a lot of old classic games on there, but they don't really update it. I'm not really sure if they're still even doing it. Golden Axe, Guardian Heroes, great Saturn game that's really expensive. Got a lot of Lego games on here, as you can see. Just tons of Lego, Mortal Kombat, NBA Jam, Scott Pilgrim,
That's cute.
fun little game. A lot of Sonics of different varieties. I like getting these games on here because of the achievements, so it kind of breathes new life into old games, and it's like my 20th copy of Streets of Rage 2. Simpsons Arcade, Street Fighter, I mean Turtles, the original Turtles arcade game, Turtles in Time. This isn't, Turtles in Time isn't the old one, it's reshelled, so it's newer and not as good, but still fun. X-Men Arcade, come on, man. What can I say? Welcome to die! I mean, that's pretty cool. So all in all, there's a lot of great titles on here that you can get. These are just some of my favorites. They're very affordable. And so, yeah, that's that. Probably show you some quick footage of the PS3. Alright, so this is the PlayStation 3. It told me to press the piss button. I found the piss button, okay. Here's some game. We've been playing Sonic All-Stars Racing Transformed a lot lately. Great game. Really hard. A lot harder than the first one, but recommend it. Here's just a quick view of some of the older games. Guerrilla War. I really like the minis that you can get on the PSN. They're old school arcade games. The only problem is that they're not 2-player, even though they were originally, which is really a big problem, but they're only like $2 or $3, so I can't complain too much. ABBA. Atari Wars. It's awesome. And then POW! Prisoners of War. I mean, I like the old SNK games a lot. Prehistoric Isles, great. Gang Wars. That's kind of blah, but it's still, I like garbage, so Gang Wars is fun. House of the Dead 4, which is pretty much what we bought this whole system for. I've been dreaming of playing House of the Dead 4 because they never put it out on the Wii or the 360 or anything. So this is why we got this system, and I'm not disappointed. Gang Wars again? I thought I got rid of that. Dead Space Extraction, pretty good game. That's just a demo. But it's cool, you can download a lot of demos. Resident Evil, Dark Side Chronicles, also the Umbrella Chronicles.
All the rail
games.
shooter versions.
I don't know why these repeat. House of the Dead 3, some of them are reshelled really good again. I don't know, there's some demos on here. But all in all, if you got a couple of bucks and you want to play some old games, the PS3 is good too. Alright, so there you go. That's in a nutshell some of the games we've got now. I mean, we're getting more every day. As long as we got credit, games are coming. So hope you enjoyed this video and it didn't put you to sleep. I know it was a long one. Stay tuned. We're going to have a lot of new videos once we get our new computer. So I will continue to disorient you with my game switching. And there you go. I'll say something cool like keep on gaming or something like that. I don't know.
Game on, bro.
Game on, bro. Peace.
Hi, we're Chris and Jen.
Hey.
One of our fans suggested that we do a game room video, and we like to...
Oh.
Hold on. Again. Bloopers.
Teddy did it!